So, are you optimistic about the future?
To be honest, I don't feel like I should be as optimistic as I am.
We look on the world today, and what do we see? Suffering, fighting, and ignorance. We hate more than we love. We take from the bearings that make us human and become hollow shells of our former selves. We do not want to listen or talk to each other, to keep the sense of humanity until tragedy strikes. In fact, it seems that's when we only care. It's time for us as a community to reflect on how we got here and how to achieve a better future than the one that seems destined for us today. Maybe it starts with a conversation.
Everybody has a story. And I got to learn years ago the absolute truth that everybody has a story, and you don't know that story until you really get to know them, until you've earned the right to hear that story and to figure out who they are.
Communication is one of, I feel like, maybe the pillars of compassion, because if you don't have that communication, how do you know how others feel, right? I mean, yes, facial expressions are very important, how you interact. But again, interaction is communication.
So through that conversation, right, is where you get to have compassion for others, right? Where you get to learn their story, where they've come from, what they've been through, and how that's made them into who they are today.
You know, a lot of Islamophobia happens in our community. And one example Bear Creek Community Center did is during Hurricane Harvey. You know, many people were devastated. Many people, had to leave their homes and find shelters. And Bear Creek Islamic Center, we opened our doors. And we had, over 50 people come inside, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a non-Muslim. This was one act of compassion, one act of mercy that is a responsibility. We didn't do it for show. We didn't need media coverage. We didn't need anyone to come inside and say, hey, we're Muslim. No, we did it because it comes from our genuine heart.
One of the biggest aspects that have been impacted my faith, Islam, when it comes to teaching, is that I feel that we all need that inclusiveness in our lives. So, for example, in the class, I make sure to tell my kids that please ask me questions. I mean, I know from the day one they can tell I'm different, right? And so to me it is ask me questions from, where I'm from, what is my faith, why do I wear what I wear on my head? But asking is really important because that gives me the ability also to ask them questions. I feel that comfort. And so we're able to ask each other questions, know each other better, obviously giving us that more community inclusive feel. That is very important in a classroom.
So the Diversity Alliance is an alliance that has been at our school for several years. We're in association with the Anti-Defamation League, and we really try to encourage students to be themselves, to create a voice for themselves, because oftentimes there are entire groups of students who just aren't heard. They aren't represented enough in the school and in the school's life. So we really try to push their voice to be heard. Because it's important, because you never know what people are going through, what their story are, how they're living their life at home. You never know.
I think it's one of those things that is very hard to teach, so you have to model it, right? I think so many teachers get caught up in trying to teach students responsibility, like if you don't turn in your paper, you're going to get a 0 or you get this many points off. But I think I think responsibility just comes at a certain time, and I think compassion is that same thing. Like to truly teach compassion, you have to show it.
Those people who did have, any hatred or any sense of Islamophobia in their heart, most definitely, it changed their heart, and most definitely, changed their perception when they have a one-on-one interaction with people. When you have, a genuine smiling face and a caring heart, that's what changes people's, mindsets. Islam's impacted the way I give compassion in numerous ways. It starts with, myself, it starts with my family, it starts with my friends, and then it goes on to the people in my community and broader society. Helping those in need, You know, I feel as if, you know, if more people, you know, consistently went out of their way, you know, to go downtown, to go feed the homeless, or even more than that, you know, to go volunteer, you know, anywhere with so many opportunities around us, and we choose to neglect them because of our own selfish ways. But that selfishness needs to turn into selflessness when we live in a privileged state here in America. And I think that it's time that, you know, we have to wake up and we have to realize that, you know, this is going to continue as long as we don't do anything about it.
I will make an impact because I am their teacher. They're facing me every day. So why have that wall where they don't feel comfortable with me, I don't feel comfortable with them?
Clubs like Muslim Student Association and Asian Student Union do the same things in that they provide an area for students to be able to give a voice, not just in their little circles, but in a bigger area.
I think the next generations have a really strong heart. I think they have a strong belief in what they want to do and what they want to be and where they want to see our nation and our world go.
Am I optimistic about the future generation? Definitely, very optimistic. We cannot be not optimistic. In other words, we have to be, because I think that optimism that we have in our generation, the generation that is leading the next one, is what is really getting our kids to kind of wake up and go, okay, so you know what? These people that we have our faith in, that we depend on, the grown-ups, the teachers, the community leaders, they're the ones who are leading. That optimism is making them go, okay, you know what? They believe in us. There's something we can do, and we'll do it. And I feel like that's very important. So we have to have that faith in our kids and our next generations to come, that they will lead in the right way. If we lose that optimism, we lose that. We lose that connection to say, you know what, you can do it. How do you say you can do it when you don't have that optimism?
Compassion, mercy. It's a hard thing to achieve in a world with so many problems, but it isn't impossible. We have to look within ourselves and find the conversation, the openness, and the reluctant trust that seems impossible to have in today's society. However, these factors are pillars of a peaceful world. To function and develop, we have to remind ourselves that our actions will determine our future. So it begs the question, what will we do?